brand new morning, nothing like the feeling of a new day to get after it. I was having some technical issues there, as you kind of saw, but this is Joseph with the Poetry Studio. I am excited to be here. We have Fool Killer in the house. Welcome. Today I'm going to be working on 2 commissions. One about a swamp and one about Harry Potter. Continuing on with a set of commissions for Christmas that I've recently received. This week is going to be a big week. Lots of poetry work has to happen by the end of this week. I am going to be reading poetry at a cabaret in town. At the end of the week, I'm also working on multiple different commissions and projects. I am just, it's a week to get after it and to continue getting after it and to persevere when things get difficult. I had a really difficult weekend. I think that there are some things in my life that I am still learning to deal with and work out and understand, and those things really come back to haunt me sometimes, and they interrupt the work. They interrupt the flow. But it's more about perseverance, I think, than anything else. So, kind of creativity that perseveres through all that. But yes, so I have with me, we're going to be highlighting a new poet of the week. I haven't really been able to kind of market this the way I wanted to, but that's all right. This is a book from my friend Brian Sonia Wallace, aka Rent Poet he is on Instagram. The book is entitled The Poetry of Strangers. It is an amazing collection which highlights what his experience has been as a street poet, being able to travel the world, travel across America really is where he's traveling, and to do poetry across America as a street poet. My street poetry tends to be less itinerant. I like being here in Winchester, but I like to do Zoom across the world. But he got really in touch one-on-one with people in person on Amtrak trains in the Mall of America, from LA all across to Pennsylvania, a lot of different places. So he's really good. And Fool Killer, I appreciate the words. Congratulations on being such a prolific poet. It's a good problem to have, to be able to have commissions and a lot of projects to be working on. Puts a lot of pressure, and so balancing all that is kind of tough. But I do appreciate the support. And that's the great thing about the show is I can create here. Like, this is my creative space, and it's a communal creative space. That's what I like better about, as opposed to just sitting at home with the typewriter and not being with people while I write. And if I were to spend another 5 minutes every morning being able to share out all the links onto the socials, then it would be easier for me to be able to do this. But I have to figure that all out and get into that system, doing that, building that system. This poem I'm going to read today is entitled, I've entitled it Stepping Back. Rent Poet's poems in his collection do not have titles. Some of them are for certain people, and so the title is for XYZ person. This one is a lot. I like this one because it's going to be a good start, because it's a political poem. It's not really political one or that way, but it's definitely agonizing over the political fragmentation that's happening in our country. And I think that's a good topic to kind of start on, because it wouldn't be a good topic to end on. That's the point. Is it's going to start here. Is that we can engage with some of these real world issues, and then we can rise from that, and we can go beyond the real world issues into stuff that's a lot more of the heart. At least that's how I'm going to be progressing through his poems, starting with this, which is very much, I would say, just a very straightforward poem about what we are dealing with as a nation, on this below the surface. So, stepping back. Stepping back. Listen. The swirling chatter of antagonism. 24/7 news cycle. Echo chambers of retweets after the sound and fury, the silence creeping up on us will speak volumes. How we break it. Will it be history breaking? Democracy, civil society itself coming apart at the seams? What ceilings we shatter and who stands underneath them? Catch a shard of rose glass for your neighbor. Are they building a mosaic? Can we build a mosaic? From all the broken pieces, something to look through when it gets too quiet or too loud. Step back. No Rome, no ruin. Stepping back. And I think what's interesting in that, and since I have you Fool Killer on the stream, we know from the Akira streams, is Akira has a very important philosophy, which is you don't spend the first 3 hours of your day looking at news. I would venture to say, you shouldn't look at the news really that much at all. I get a morning paper. I read the morning paper. There's a limit to it, beginning and an end. It's a local paper, so a lot of the news is not as inflammatory and it's more local. Okay. Believe it or not, the paper had several weeks where it ran pretty regular news clippings about whether people should be able to keep chickens at their house in the city proper, and so benefits of being in a country town, and so those are the news things that I'm inspired by, and so like the news practices I'm inspired by. So it's funny because the stepping back that Brian talks about there is something I'm already familiar with and a lot of people struggle with. But at the same time, it's important to be in tune with the news. It's important to know kind of what's going on. And then it's important to react with it in a way that's upbuilding and useful. All those actions being useful. That is stepping back. Let's get started on some writing this morning. Bring back our music. Fool Killer, my mom actually watched a replay on our stream from, I think it was Saturday. And she said that she loved the stream, and she mentioned you. She was like, oh, that stream with Fool Killer was awesome. It was fantastic. I was like, oh, that's cool. So, you're now mom famous, which in my eyes is definitely famous. You also said something. That's quite an interesting poem. I want to say it uses metaphor or illusion quite interestingly, but I forgot which. Uh-oh. There might go my camera. I've been having a lot of issues with this camera and this board. So illusion, I think, is not the right word, but metaphor is. Definitely metaphor. Because metaphor is also a big bucket word. Like, there's a lot of metaphor describes a lot of different subtypes in the genre. I'm actually just looking up illusion myself. I would say it's not as much of illusion, though he's alluding to a lot of things in that poem. Any political poem is always alluding to a lot of things. So, the shattering ceilings, he's a little more on the liberal side in terms of his political preferences, and so, which is, that's just, I think it's important to meet people at where they're at and to be real about who they are and not to sugarcoat it, and to respect the fact that we all have different views. There was a shattering ceiling, was obviously shattering the glass ceiling has a lot to do with women in politics, which is, honestly, from whether you're conservative or liberal, there's nothing wrong with that. And then, but he probably would have leaned towards Hillary in the 2016 election. I remember there was a lot of glass ceiling metaphors that were happening around that time. But that's the use of the glass ceiling as a metaphor and the mosaic as a metaphor is one that's actually pretty, I've seen a lot. Let's see if we can get this camera working again. And let's see. I'm there. Woo! Hi, I'm back. So, the metaphor would probably be the proper term to describe how he's using the mosaic as an understanding of people, and his understanding of a nation. Fragments put together of different colors, literally and metaphorically, to make up the patchwork of America. So that comes from the imagery that he's using, the metaphor that he's using. But that you were definitely onto that. All right, so this next poem. Swamp, for a family who loves the outdoors, hunting, fishing, etc. Looking for rhyming words. Fool Killer says, I find it interesting how in poetry, even the positions of the words on the page, and not just the words themselves, contribute to the feel of the poem. If you are seeing that, then you are definitely doing your reading very well. I love playing with position with the typewriter. It makes it a lot easier on the typewriter than on a word processor. Word processors are much harder to position. I'll throw a term out there for you, and the term is enjambments. and it's when you choose to not end a line with a comma and a pause, because a lot of poems are designed like that, which is normal. And it's a normal, traditional poetry is roses are red, comma, violets are blue, comma, and each comma is like a breath. Roses are red, violets are blue, and then you kind of go from there. But when you choose to run on into the next line without stopping with the comma, then it adds a bit of like a pace to it. Like it starts to, you have a rhythm doing a rhythm. And I love that. And I love using the placement. Where words hang off a line. And that starts incorporating the visual. So it seems that, like you said, you do sketches, so you're more visually in tune. Well, it's like a sketch of words. The way that the words start coming down this way for the electronic microchip blip that binds us from the mountain majesties and kind of resets and goes over. I think that's what I'm trying to do. Again, I've never claimed to be a poetic expert, but I like to think that's kind of the visual attunement that comes with reading and seeing a poem. Now, the words on the page, not just the words themselves, contribute to the feel of the poem. She begins to see what we are often forgetting. Her nose up its stillness is great closer than both survived. This poem's been a little bit of a wanderer. It doesn't want to find its theme. So usually what happens with me is I find my theme halfway through the poem. I start with kind of introduction of a setting. It's almost like I kind of construct a poem while, it's like I'm flying a plane while building it. Building a plane while flying it. And so often I start with setting and then connections, hard connections. So I start blending in some of the themes. But this poem is a lot of connections without theme yet. And that doesn't mean that I can't find it in the last line and make everything else mean something. I just have to find it. So a big thing that I've been kind of dwelling on here is how survival in nature depends on our release from technology. And this makes us stronger. Wow, that means a lot, Fool Killer. Thank you so much. I keep putting my hand here, featuring the hand. Fool Killer says, I don't want to distract from your process, but I just want to say your stream is very fun. I look forward to it as much as Akira's stream. Well, I really do appreciate that. That means a lot. But I have to get to the end of this poem. Oh goodness, this thing is bogging me down. Which was the pun that I used in the beginning. Okay, so I found the theme. Kind of how it's a return to our birth is what all this is. And now, tent among the stars, swamp in the stars, something about our nature. Oh goodness, hold on a second. We are returning to a home that eons held for us. Hello, Limelight Yo. Welcome to the stream. Here we write poetry on the spot. I do take requests, and Fool Killer as well. If you ever want to request something, we can take requests on here. And if you have any questions about typewriter poetry on Twitch, this is what it looks like. I'm trying to think of a word. Down at the bottom, you can see I've left off an hour. And the music we're playing is Akira the Don. He is a lo-fi artist, composer, psychotechnologist. Psychotechnologist. I'm going to have to drop that in the stream this morning, Fool Killer. That he's a psychotechnologist. I mean, we could create an entire industry around that. An extraordinary insight. Cradle of civilization found in family pitching together a tent among the swamp and the stars. I wanted to say, I remember what I forgot before. I want to say simpler nature, but not use the word simpler. Because simple implies stupid as in part of its tone. And I don't want to make it off that like people that go out into the wilderness are stupid. That's not what I want to imply. What I want to say is simpler is like letting go of the frillings. It's more, goodness, more raw, but that's also wrong. Pure. It's pure. Fluent, says Limelight. Are you saying that that fluent would be a good word for that situation? Fluency. You have me thinking about that. Well, what I'd probably be is I think I'm going to actually integrate that at the end. Because our pure, because we speak a language of nature. Language doesn't have a lot of presence in here, but it could. Not a bad idea. like the currents of nature. Now there we go. I like that. Yes, I think I'm constructing I'm building the construction in my head, and I think. I just have to put the words in the right order, and then they're gonna click. There we go. It got real epic there. Fluency. I like that. It got real epic at the end. Thank you so much, Limelight Yo, and I do appreciate it. It's one of the things that I've always wanted to see in the kind of community that hopefully will form here on this stream. Alrighty. Let's lower our music and read this poem about the swamp. Refusing to get bogged down in the electronic microchip blip that blinds us from the mountain majesties and fertile valleys of creation, where the human blends into the rivers and inland seas, he and she begins to see what we are often forgetting, how little separates us from this escaped bliss where the hook and the bullet survive to help us thrive. We feel muscles of the mind grow when we release the technology and dwell with the trees, birds, and beauteous fauna. We are returning to a home that eons held for us, cradle of civilization found in the family pitching together a tent among the swamp and the stars, our purest birthplace, a language we have always known since the dawn of the land. Ah, that's so good! That's so good! Thank you, Limelight Yo, for helping contribute to the poem. Man, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Fool Killer, as well, for just being awesome and being here. As the community vibe just helps filter into these poems that I've been writing. Thank you, Limelight, for your words. And on to whatever else is going to come out of this typewriter. So, how'd you come across the stream, Limelight? What brought you here? Fool Killer and I go back, but did the algorithm end up bringing you here? Yeah, Fool Killer says it has a nice flow to it. Well, thank you. I'm a huge fan. Flowage. Flowage, I love that. I'm a huge fan in a lot of, what do you call it? Alliterations. And my mentor, my writing mentor, tells me to be careful with them, but I'll dive in. Microchip blip. Inland seas, he and she begins to see. The alliterations can help the poem flow a lot, but if you bog it down too much with alliterations, now I can't stop saying it, bog it down, then you end up having something which seems a little contrived and a little hacked, but it didn't seem that way with this one. This one flowed real nice. You were here when I rapped. Oh my goodness. When was that? I've been so busy. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm trying to remember when that was. I'm losing my mind. What stream was that? I remember rapping at a certain point. I remember when we read Emily Dickinson in the Pokemon theme. That's well. Thank you so much. I remember seeing your. I feel like I remember seeing your name before, and I do remember seeing your name before now. When I rapped 2 or 3 months. Man, so good to see you back here in the stream. Next poem I'm going to be writing is entitled Wingardia Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa is the title of the poem. So this is Harry Potter, all the way through and through. I've read all the Harry Potter books. I just need to type out this title and get their music back. And yes, we did end up reading Emily Dickinson to the Pokemon theme, which is something you can do. And I highly recommend it for anybody that needs a good laugh during a day. 4, 8, 12, 18, so that's 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This poem has been commissioned for an 11-year-old girl who's crazy smart and loves Harry Potter, art, theater, and reading writing. Crazy smart. That's good. Right. So I read all the Harry Potter books. I read all of them. I really liked it. I'm just thinking this one through because I've got to hit my illusions right. This is illusions, Killer, which is that there's going to be a lot of references to Harry Potter things, which is also just references. But illusions is also kind of the word. Like, you know, if I mention brooms, I gotta think about the fact that I'm thinking about Quidditch, the snitch. Oh man, it's all coming back to me. Wands. Gringotts. I'm just now running like in my head out about all the different things. Thinking it through. Wizards, muggles, Hogwarts, potions, Horcruxes, Lord Voldemort, Death Eaters. What did they call it when you were dark? I guess dark magic. Oh, I'm gonna Google Lord Voldemort. Wonder what Lord Voldemort's Wikipedia says. I think I have a theme coming. And it comes from, thankfully, Wikipedia. What happened to me? I froze. This is terrible. This keeps happening. I've got a bad cord. Let's see if I can get this fixed. Come on. Alright, Hey, I'm back. All right, cool. So, and I'm sure it's not good for the camera. I have to keep turning it on and off. So, did you know that some people believe that Voldemort is derived from the French for flight of death? So flight. Let's talk about flight. So Wingardium Leviosa is a spell that makes things fly up. I think that's what it is. I'm gonna look it up. Leviosa. I really need to clean these keys. What is the spell? It causes objects to levitate. Okay. So flight as a metaphor here. Where does flight happen in the series of Harry Potter? The key is that flight happens on both the light and the dark side. I'm a Star Wars guy, so excuse my mixing metaphors here. But so the fact is there's the wizards and brooms and all that stuff, and there's that type of levitation, that energy, that excitement that happens with good. But it's power. Raw power is what's really underneath flight, because the dark side, the Death Eaters and all them, can also use flight too. Welcome, Cynical Chill. So glad you can make it to the stream. We're and you are a subscriber. Thank you again so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. That means so much. And so I'm discussing Wingardium Leviosa is the name of this poem, the title of this poem that I'm going to be writing. And so it's for a 11-year-old girl who's crazy smart and loves Harry Potter, art, theater, and reading, writing. And I think what I'm going to talk about is the power to lift minds, hearts, energy is a dualistic power. That it can be used for light or dark. That you could use art. You could even use Harry Potter for nefarious means. And so it's funny because usually I figure out a theme as I'm writing, but this one, I kind of had this idea that I wanted to figure out the theme first. And we have. So, on to writing. Is my camera frozen again? How did my camera freeze again? I think today I'm heading to Best Buy and I'm getting a replacement cord because this is ridiculous. There we go. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's something we should be tossing in the chat there, Fat Hamster Hun. I appreciate the thought, but yeah, I don't know if that's not an appropriate joke to be making in the chat here. But if you want to make a different joke, I would welcome it. Wingardium Leviosa. I gotta fix that. There we go. Here we got some good jokes. What do you call a turtle taking a picture of itself? That's a shelfie. I love that. Good job. Limelight Yo for the joke. You know what? I'm not waiting actually. I gotta do a thing. This is good, right? Okay. With the letter O. I'm just wire brushing my letter O out a little bit. You can see from the main camera that I've got the wire brush. Just wire brushing the keys just slightly, just to get them a little cleaned up. This is how you clean up keys on a typewriter. And that letter O should look a lot clearer now. Let's see. Oh. And I took letter O. Ah, that's perfect. No more mess. I was gonna say, I was gonna try to use a the name for the broom that Harry Potter uses, like the actual name for it. Which I can actually, because the name of Harry Potter's broom was the Firebolt, and I think that just works. Teacher Alex says another month has come and gone, and we've yet to have our call, Joseph. I was thinking that this morning. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna message him, and we're gonna do it this week. Which we're gonna do it this week. I actually have a question I want to ask you specifically about all this. That I want to ask you over the call. But yes, Twitcher Alex, welcome to the stream. So good to see you here. And I'll see you in Akira stream soon. I need to do some thesaurusing. I got some Dune that's filtering into this poem. He was infected with a terrible purpose. Kind of got that going a little bit here. Since I feel like that. I like Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter, other than the fact. Well, there's two things I don't like Harry Potter. Which is J.K. Rowling absolutely breaks every rule when it comes to the inconsistency of magic systems. There needs to be some sort of rule binding set with magic systems, and she doesn't have any. And so the story could go any which way. That's really kind of forgivable, but the unforgivable thing is I think that she just, there's so much more that she could do with the characters, especially by the end. But it was a good series. I liked it. Not to throw controversial opinions in there. And then there was, oh, goodness gracious. It's a word for wizard, but it's not a wizard. Because there's a word that at a certain point they call Harry Potter at the end of the book. And it's not wizard. Like he's like he's like a super wizard. Consulting the thesaurus. Not sorcerer. Oh goodness, this is gonna bother me. A mage? No, maybe if I go on his wiki. An auror. There we go. That was it. Roar. That's got to end on a strong note. We're close. We're very close. And last line. All right. This one makes me happy. Oh no, look at me. Look at that awkward, terrible looking face right there. That was just a failure of camera transition. Yeah, we got some sort of issue happening here with the camera that I can't figure out. Alrighty. So, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for everybody that's still here. Really, really, really appreciate everybody that was in the chat this morning. Twitchero Alex, Fool Killer, Limelight Yo, even Fat Hamster, even though we had to delete his message. And As always, I'm doing this every morning, Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. If you have poem requests, if you have commissions that are needed, if you have crazy zany ideas that you want to see me do, if you have the most ridiculous, off the wall topic that is not too inappropriate that I can do, I will do it on a typewriter over Twitch internationally as well. To end this is Wingardium Leviosa. Looking to rise and spellbind every muggle with the creative magic the artist holds inside. Rising with your firebolt to levitate hearts and minds with incantations of beauty, potions of light. But these powers are also present to those who must be named, those muddling the purity of love with intentions of darkness. They fly with dementors and delude with an imperio twist of perception. Every generation is called to cast its Patronus, to remind us of the natures we oft forget, the magic innate in each of us, the scars we hold from our self-conflict, and the amazing destiny, prophecy for the Aurors who roam in child secret among us. That one, this 11-year-old girl's gonna love it. It's not too and I managed to keep the vocabulary not too heavy. Like, I didn't throw anything in there that was wildly hard to tell a definition of. She's gonna pour over this one. I hope that they like it. I hope it's not too much. Alrighty. Thank you all so much. Solid hour of streaming. This is exciting. Let me see if Akira is on. If Akira is on, I'm going to raid him. I'm going to do it. Akira is not on. So we are just going to end the stream. Thank you again so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you all tomorrow, hopefully.